I heard it
Yeah, I did
twice.
too.
Yeah. Maybe it played twice. What can I say?
I
What
heard
is
it
going on?
twice.
Yeah. Maybe it played twice. What can
I
I
think I
say?
hear you.
What is
I
going
hear
on?
echo.
I hear us talking two times. Hold on.
I
I
think I
know
hear
what
you.
that
I hear
is.
an echo.
I hear us talking two times. Hold on. Okay, that's one place. Hold on. We're going to get this to. There it is. Found it. All right. Whoa, what's up, guys? Everybody, welcome to the Relationshiping Show, where we just don't talk about relationships. We talk about how they shipped, mishandled, delayed, mislabeled, and sometimes returned to sender. And sometimes they turned out just well. Okay. I'm your co-host, LaDonna Raeh. And alongside with me, I have Mr.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Lorenzo T. Hughes.
Oh, that's
And
what
we're
I'm.
back. Yes.
You're back. Oh, you came back. Thank
Oh,
you
yeah,
so
we're back.
much.
Most definitely.
I'm so glad that you came back. How was your week?
You know, to be honest, I don't even remember it. That's the scary part. So much has been going on with the casting of the stage play,
Mm-hmm.
um, with trying to coordinate the project that we're working on with the cohort that I'm involved in, rehearsal for Fall from Royalty, doing that, uh, and just everyday life. It's all been happening all at the same time. It's like you look back on it and you wonder, how did I accomplish it? How did I get these things done? So, with that, and then trying to, market myself, in the industry acting, trying to make sure during this pilot season, because it's pilot season right now, and which means a lot of television shows are, um, trying to get their television shows picked up by a network. So they're shooting, new projects. They're casting new talent. So a lot's going on. Lots going on. So I'm just trying to keep up.
Sounds like a lot's going
It's a lot.
on.
It's a lot.
Thanks for that update.
Mm, no problem. What about you? What's going on with LaDonna Raeh? What's going on your end?
Oh, geez. I wish it was as exciting as what you just shared with us. Um, I am learning on the job.
Ooh.
Yes, for lack of a better term, I am learning on the job,
Uh-huh.
meaning I take care of my dad. Um, and yeah, I've learned how to retire, how to transfer benefits over from employed to retired benefits, how to contact a primary care physician, physical therapist,
Mhm,
skilled nursing,
mhm.
home health care, all of that stuff in a matter of 5 years. And there's so much more, put meds together
Oh, wow.
and make decisions that are on the better, on behalf of someone that you care about. And this past week has been a overnight shift. It was already an overnight shift several times before,
Uh-huh.
but this past week, my dad was put on the H word. And just overnight, he went to the emergency room and because he was swollen,
Uh-huh.
and they found other stuff and other things kept unraveling. They tried to manage his symptoms. And next thing you know, they said they can't do anything more for him. And so I got him to a facility so that they can give us a second opinion. And it was the same response. So now I'm learning on the job. That's what
Man, I'm sorry to hear
yeah,
that.
that's what I
Wow.
got to say. Learning on the job.
Wow.
But my
Wow.
dad is alert and well. And when I say well, he's still talking and cussing out, still making demands.
Wow. Oh.
He's still him.
So yeah, he's still he's mentally here. So
Right.
okay.
All the way here. So I'm just like, dude, quit playing, quit faking.
Uh-huh.
That's what I want to say to him. I wish that could be true. But other than that, it's been a great day. I went to the 40th Interfaith Breakfast Ceremony with Mayor Brandon Johnson, Mayor of City of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, and Kamala Harris was
Oh man,
there.
how was that?
It was amazing. I say amazing because everybody was there.
Mhm.
The one thing I'm conflicted with is that, like when we do our radio show during the week, people call in and they complain about Kamala and Brandon Johnson. But in that room, it was a almost a unanimous roar when their names were announced and they were brought to the stage. So, and they were brought to the stage separately. It was amazing. Jacqueline, I should say Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson. Jacqueline, wait, am I saying it right?
I don't know. You tell me.
I think it's Jacqueline L. Jackson. I may have to look that up because I forget names a lot. But Jesse Jackson Sr.'s wife was given an award. I'm gonna look this up right now because I don't want to mess this up. L. Jackson. She was given an award, and her words were heartfelt. In fact, she said that her husband told her, "Don't go off script," and she said,
Mm,
"So I left the script at home."
mm, mm.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
was so glad to hear her talk and speak so eloquently and organically.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's Jacqueline L. Jackson. I just always called her Mrs. Jackson. But yeah, she was there and so many others. So many others. So I sat at a table with Sonia Blakely. She's a radio personality. Harmeen Hartman was there. She's the founder of Indigo Magazine and ran into I can't even name. I'd be all night. But that was and I sat next to my dear friend Jamila Pointer.
Mm,
She was there. So we had fun. I had to give her several hugs because I truly feel safe with her. She's a really good friend. I did some interviews with Atiba, my co-host throughout the week, and the rest of the WVON crew was there as well. So
okay. Okay.
and you'll find it on my socials. But watch this. Relationshiping. Welcome to relationshiping because
Yes.
we want to unpack a pretty cool topic, I would like to say. I think it's cool. In my opinion, it's cool.
Uh-huh.
And Lorenzo, you kind of liked it too. But we have so many different topics that we want to unpack, but we decided to bring two topics, choice, but we're going to choose one to talk about. Topic number 1 is the situationship era over?
Mm.
Did I say that right?
And
Era
and
over? I took the R off
hey,
everything.
we understand. We understand
Yeah. And I want to know that I mean that
the
is one topic.
situationship.
Yeah. So what that means is
Situationship.
at one point, and I got my notes on my screen here cuz look, oh my goodness, I tell you. Um at one point nobody wanted labels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Nobody wanted labels. Everybody wanted vibes and flexibility and options. So and we talked about situationships last week. But I want to know, is that era over? And of course, you can give us a call at 312-357-5141 if you want to talk to us
and
live.
and definitely call in. This is it's an interesting topic, and the beautiful thing about some of these topics is these are topics that sometimes we try to avoid talking about. Like it's the boogeyman that we try to keep hidden in the closet.
Mhm.
Uh, and I think a lot of us we have a lot of boogeymen or even boogie women hidden that we keep hidden in the closet that we try to act like doesn't exist or we don't participate in. But th- we want we the thing we like to do is have open dialogue because if you don't have open dialogue, then problems don't get solved. It creates a wedge or a communication gap. So let's have some fun and engage in some conversation. So definitely call in.
Yeah, I like that.
You can comment too.
Yeah, that's true. And I just sent you the link, Lorenzo, so you can share the link with whomever
What link you
you've
send?
the link to watch the show.
I've sent that.
Oh, you did? Okay, I'm sorry. So yeah. So watch this. The other topic, wait, before I get out of this one,
Mhm.
um, do you think that the situationship era is over?
Oh no, it's just beginning.
Okay.
No.
Oh, okay, okay. So watch this. The second topic is, are accomplished Black women still being penalized in dating? What does that mean? How
Hmm.
much does success mismatch really
Hmm.
matter?
Hold on, I'm gonna have to write that down. So say that again.
Are accomplished Black women still being penalized in dating?
I don't even have a note. Okay, where we go.
How much does success mismatch really matter? Okay. So think about it. If they are super educated, got all this money, independence, confidence, what point does doing well turn into doing too much to have a partner?
And if you want to talk about one more than the other, if one of the topics hit home for you more, feel free to comment on that one, and we can talk about it. For those of that may come in late, if you're sharing the show, we'll recap it, the topics, as we engage in conversation. So yeah.
I love it. But I know growing up, I was raised to be independent,
Mm.
and it can shoot you in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
But so many women out there are praising themselves on being able to take care of home without a partner. And of course, we kind of touched on this before when we talked about Miss Independent, the song by Neo, and it was celebrated. And of course, all the women independent, blah, 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 blah. But is that really what women are striving for? So I'm leaning towards, the situationship era, is it over? I feel like that's a yes no answer.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole thing about the independent women, that hits home for me. So should we you want to toss a coin? You want to take a vote?
Well, I mean, you can look at it a couple of different ways. If when I say a couple of different ways, you have your pros and your cons to the independence, and I think I guess the important part is interpreting what that means, being independent. I don't think it means being independent of love and companionship. I would like to think that it doesn't mean that, but I don't think it means being independent of that. If I'm wrong,
Mhm.
somebody please call in and correct me. But I don't think it really means being independent of that. I think we as a culture may have shot our own selves in the foot.
Mm.
Um, and when I say that we've done that, have we have gotten in bed with the devil. And I'll kind of go into detail what I mean by that. Um, I guess I can do it now. When I say we've gotten into the bed with the devil, that means we've taken ill advice
Mhm.
somewhere along the way that made it seem as if it's better. Don't get me wrong. I believe there's a time to be alone, and there's benefits to being alone because you become more in touch with yourself, your own spirituality, and things of that nature. Where I mean, that's why you have um, your monks and stuff like that that go into the mountains, and you know, they they're there uh, developing a spiritual connection. And
Mhm.
you see that, and you'll hear a lot of people that go on these sabbaticals and go off into the mountains, into the woods, and next thing you know, they come back and they're changed people because they spent time in their own thoughts, uh, looking at the mistakes that they've made, and developed new habits and things like that, which made them, I guess, in their own eyes, and maybe even to some of the people around them, better people. So I mean, it has its pros and its cons. I guess the con would be that loneliness, and we'll get into this. I don't want to hog the mic, but dealing with expenses by yourself, not having that helping hand, not having the encouragement, not and all those things that comes with companionship, the positive parts
Yeah,
of companionship.
absolutely. I think that being independent has been celebrated so much that people wanted to join that particular gang.
Hmm.
And being a part of a movement, the movement that came through the Black community, if you think about it, we initially started off as family oriented culture. And when we always talk about the man in the house rule and
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
society has been specifically targeting our Black men, particularly in our community, because if you look at the percentages in prison, they make up a huge portion of the population, and because of that, you know that our men are being targeted.
Mm.
And if our men are being targeted, that means they're not at home with the women, they're not able to raise their children, they're not able to bring home the bacon, even if it's turkey. So you've got women out here that are saying, well, since my man can't, I have to. And this is what I am striving to do. And when you do that, you create a psychological warfare where Black women end up, should I say, competing with the men's lack of success by using their success as a weapon.
Mhm.
So I think I'm going to vote for talking about the independent women
Okay.
topic. What do you think?
Well, when you put it that way, man, that's a big ball of tape to unravel. Um, when you when you look at that part of independent, right? It's like saying that you've made the choice to have a broken home. Uh, if you are that person that says, I want to be an independent, fill in the blank, you have chosen to take the route of having a broken home, meaning that it's incomplete. Especially especially if you have children. Now, if it's just you, um, it's a little bit different. But
Yeah.
I want to just kind of talk about those um, situations that have families that they have to deal with. When you choose to say that, I'm just going to be independent, and that's a choice, and there's a lot of things. I get it. There's a lot of reasons and a lot of things that could lead to you making that choice. Um, Sometimes you'll have a person that's in your life that that you just realize that you're not a good fit, or maybe there was some abuse involved, because by no means will we suggest that anybody try to hang around in a relationship that's unsafe and abusive. But when you make the choice to have children,
Mhm.
now there's a responsibility that takes that has to be focused on. And one of the things that we may have to start looking at is some people don't want responsibility, and sometimes there's certain responsibilities that may be too much for some people. You realize that, okay, I really don't want that responsibility, or I really can't deal with that particular responsibility that comes with being able to have a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, my kid's father or my kid's mother. You made a choice that you don't that you can't deal with that type of responsibility, because it is a responsibility. And if you have been independent for so long, and this is the challenging part, is and maybe someone listening in can kind of chime in and maybe throw in some nuggets on this one, is being able to deal with the opposite sex. It takes a degree of practice, meaning that you have had to have some type of relationship with someone. It doesn't have to always be an intimate relationship, but it could be a friendship, to where you understand or having understanding on how to deal with someone of the opposite sex. And that could be being raised in a household where you've watched it, it's been modeled to you, or you've had friendships that have modeled this to you and you've seen what it looks like, or maybe just in your past of dating situations, you've actually learned something
Mhm.
positive and learned how to apply it. So I mean, th- like I said, it's a big ball of tape to unravel. So like I said, people if anybody with more experience or some experience, man, definitely call in. What say you?
Yeah. Well, that man, that makes it deep. Um, because essentially you do take on what someone else is well, what someone else's responsibilities are. Let me take a look at my notes because I did send quite a few invitations to individuals that I knew that wanted to be in the loop of when the next show was going to air.
Uh-huh.
And one in particular that participated last week, um, I made sure that they got an invitation. But watch this. If we go into us, is success actually intimidating? Or is it exposing insecurity? Because some people will supercharge their success in order to feel good about themselves. And does that change them as a person? Does that change how they act, how they walk? I often joke about how women argue differently when they get their hair done.
Mhm.
You know, they feel so confident that they are walking around like a peacock versus, yeah, a normal human being. And there's no way I'm gonna get out of that beauty chair, see how beautiful I look, and still have the same walk. The sway back is gone. I'm straightening up my posture, and
Uh,
my walk is different.
uh,
So, does that also come with a different type of attitude? So, if that is just as simple and low level as getting your hair done, what if you went higher level and said, let's add a few degrees, a master's degree on top of the degree, the money in the account, money coming in, cash flow, where they live, class, um, acceptance? Do you now expose your insecurities by leaning and leading with all of those things versus who you really are?
well, you know, with what you said, I think self care is definitely a start on uh, building on how we behave in the public eye and in our relationships. And I think that kind of falls back on the benefit in being independent for a degree of time because you get a chance to do a lot of self reflection. Uh, because if you haven't made the repairs within yourself, then you take that brokenness that you may have, you know, inside, into another relationship, and you tend to, when you have those injuries and everything, you tend to bleed on the other person, which is unfair. So I would say when you talk about being independent for a degree of time, uh, um, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. But what I would say is this: um, if if you chose to be independent, and I'm not saying it's bad. Anything, I'm by no means saying it's bad to be an independent woman or an independent man. But if that's what you choose to do, and you are a human being, and when I say you are a human being, that means you have desires for love, compassion, sex, and all those things, then you find yourself leaning toward a situationship. Now I think that's the breeding ground for, situationships. It's like, I want to be independent, but I also want to be in a relationship where somebody, cherishes me, comforts me, touches me, because I mean it's human. Human touch is one of the most powerful things that we have, here on earth. Compassionate words and human touch. So I think, that independent thing could be one of the reasons you see that we're in situationships. Nobody really wants to the responsibility of committing. Nobody wants that big responsibility.
Mm. So you're gonna roll these into one.
Well, I mean, when you look at it, it's like, I was just sitting there thinking when I was just talking, I was like, well, dang, that leads down, like, if you want to be independent, but I want to be committed, you can't look.
You can't
Look,
do
you
both, huh?
can't chase two rabbits and catch both of them.
Dang.
You
Right.
know, you got to choose one. You got to
Mm.
choose one of them. Which one are you going to chase?
Well, let me ask you
Um,
this.
good.
Your microphone is like super big. We can't see your face. So,
How's that?
yeah, I really
Is that
can't see
better?
you. You know I cannot see you right now.
I'm sorry. Let me make some adjustments.
Well, while you
Excuse the
make those
sound.
adjustments, I'm going to take a caller. We got caller number 5274, phone number ending in 5274. Hello, good evening. Welcome to Relationshiping. You're on live.
What's up, 5274?
Hey, how's it going?
Going swell-tastic. Welcome to the show.
What say you?
Thank you
What
for
say
having me.
you, would you rather?
Well, I'm kind of just catching on. I was listening in. Actually, at a Starbucks. Do you bring me up to speed?
Yeah. So we have two topics that we're talking about, and we were trying to decide which one we were going to actually talk about tonight. The first topic is, are situations dead? Is the situation era dead? The second topic is,
Situationship.
oh, did I say situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, our situationships, is the situationship era dead? That's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two is, are how much success is a mismatch when it comes to independent women? Are accomplished Black women still being penalized in dating? So those are the two topics. I was leaning more towards the second one.
But and see what I ended with was I kind of rolled them all into one because of something I was thinking about. I said, okay, if we're trying to focus on being independent, being an independent woman or independent man, and being human, we all have emotional, sexual, and spiritual desires that we get from just being human. That almost pulls you into being in a situationship when you're battling with wanting to be independent and alone, but at the same time you want intimacy, with someone. And I think that plants the seed for the situationship.
Mm. Yeah, what do you think,
Yeah,
caller?
yeah, it's no different than like the original foundation of like marriage. It's like it's not about love. It's more about just like an arrangement, right? So I'll go off like I can't speak from the perspective of a woman, black woman, black male, but I can shed light on my experiences with powerful black women that were singles. And it's yeah, like it's kind of like I being the like the ones that I've encountered, I'll go off and you know accomplish my great accomplishments, but and I just need you to get out of my way and just come in for the intimacy part or the connection, the romance and things like that, and then you do your thing, and we just don't get in each other's way. So it kind of gets back to the foundation. I find, like I think that love is something that I don't want to say it's new, but it's in the you know institution of relationship, marriage, and connection. It's one of those things that wasn't on the hierarchy of needs. That's more a Maslow's situation in psychology, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. But let me ask this question: when let's say you take a situation where you have a man or a woman um, who they have children already, and when we see this a lot, um, who again they're independent, they pride themselves on their ability to raise one plus kids by themselves, um, and we don't look at the fact that that's still a broken home. uh, there's there's a degree of influence that's missing from that home. Because I think, LaDonna, I think you mentioned something about psychology in the beginning, and I think we fail
Mhm.
to recognize the psychological breakdown that takes place when we pride and celebrate ourselves on creating such an environment. Um, and I get it. I can understand the importance of being choosing wisely, especially when, like I said again, you're trying to to do this thing we call being human. Uh, and again, what I'm saying is that you have children that are involved, and at the same time, you're battling with your humanity of being human and having a desire for intimacy and companionship and relationship. So now it's like, now we got to figure out, how do we do this? How do we what It's like, what is the mindset psychologically that has to happen to where this this situation can be turned into something positive? Because when I look at it, when I step back and take a look at it, I can't really see anything truly positive, especially if there's kids involved. Like when you're single, I think a lot of us have been there where we were single and we had fun, as we sometimes call it. But when you start, sometimes when I'm going to say 30 and up, most people got one plus kids. Most people, have one plus children. So we got to figure out, how can we be human and decide what we want to be or what we want to do when we talk about independence and being in a relationship. Do we choose just being independent and having the broken home, or do we choose a situationship where we try to balance being independent and being in a relation or situationship? And do we worry about the psychological effects that may have on the environment that we've already created? Not only that, our
Yeah.
own psychological effects.
That sounds like you choosing to be selfish or not. You know, if you,
Because we got to admit, there is some psychological effects that take
well,
place,
absolutely. There's some psychological
whether you like it or not.
effects of they happen because if whether you created them or not. So all people involved, for all intensive purposes, are psychologically affected. You know what I'm saying? Like I know if I put my car in the garage, it should be there, right? That's one thing.
Mm.
But if I put my car in the garage and it's not there anymore, I can't grasp that because I know I put it there. So the same thing goes if I did everything right. Mom told me be independent. Not everybody's going to cheer you on and be in your corner, and you do everything quote unquote right, and you still don't get the success, the level of happiness that you thought you would get by doing what you were told to do. So some women out here are getting rid of the men in their lives, their husband, their boyfriend, baby daddy, and then crying lonely, single mother, divorced. But they created that situation. Uh, a lot of times when you talk to people, the state of Illinois allows you to get divorced based on irreconcilable differences, which is a unexplained reason for getting a divorce. They don't force you to get counseling. They don't ask you if they don't care. They're like, okay, this is what it's gonna cost. Are there any children involved? Whoa, okay, fill this paper out. And did you all decide on the assets? Whoa, okay, you didn't. You got to fill this paper out. So it's just all a money grab for the state. But now the state of the minds that are involved is the children. Children, you, your spouse, all of those people are involved. But when you decide I can't be happy, because see, sometimes, and forgive me if I'm going in a circle, I'll be back. But sometimes when you're in a relationship, being happy is probably next to impossible if you haven't taken care of those things that you should have taken care of before you got married. But if you're able to work it out with your spouse and allow those children to see a healthy relationship, then you lessen the psychological effects of you all deciding to say, you know what, irreconcilable differences. But a lot of people don't do that. They're like, you know what? I want to be single like the rest of my friends. I want the freedom, whatever that looks like. You want people want they want the wedding, they don't want the marriage. They want the freedom, they don't want to do the work. They don't want the loneliness that comes with freedom. You know what I'm saying? There's you can't have it all. Like you said, you can't chase two rabbits and catch them both.
So back back to the question. Do we focus on the psychology? Is the caller still there? Are you still there,
Yep.
caller? Okay. Yeah. Do we focus on the psychological effects, or do we just do we not care?
Mm.
Is that something that we should consider or think about?
Caller 5274.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Sorry, I'm running around, but okay, it's
You
probably.
chasing two rabbits?
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, chasing. Oh, there you go. So, yeah, chasing a few rabbits. Sorry. But I was just gonna say that. I mean, the way that it started the conversation around like the idea of selfishness is kind of. I would say that that's it's a little bit. I think that's kind of biased, right? Because like a lot of these things with. Thank you guys. A lot of these things with like kids and things like that are you know, a lot of people that are parents don't even they didn't want to like when you talk to them they look at that as sort of like a weight like dead weight like they thought they wanted kids or kind of maybe some like a one night or puppy love or whatever but then when they got deeper into the like actually raising that you see a lot of resentment so I don't know if it's selfish you know to choose yourself in the midst of it all and decide differently, uh, or if it's selfish to kind of stay in a relationship based on how it looks to your kids and but you're kind of forcing them in an environment that's not really like healthy. They're forced to see you guys argue and not touch each other and be in separate rooms, and they think that that's normal. So I think that witnessing now is finding something birthing of choosing self, and then from there it'll stabilize. Equilibrium always comes after a shakeup. So,
Mm,
right now it looks funky, but I think over time we start to re-identify what it means to like connect with each other. I mean, I'm not trying to get all into like speculative notion, but with AI and robots and things like that, kind of filling in the gaps of of what we look for in a partner, right? Like that's what it imitates like what art imitates life, like how yeah, we were supposed to be sort of fun, but
Wait, is your phone in your
I,
shoulder?
I
It was going in
oh
and
no,
out.
I'm in my earbud.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna say that it's just nuanced, right? Like because it's like you're telling folks to stay together, but you don't know what they're actually feeling or going through, and the kids pick up on everything, and they just like imitate what they see, and they think that that's normal. And then they go through life and they just kind of perpetuate the same cycle that we identify. They're like, well, I don't need anybody because I don't want to be like them, and I don't want to. I haven't seen anything different.
mm,
So
mhm.
oh, it's just it's a question that is super individualized, and I don't know if there's a right answer to it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, we have
that's
another caller on the line as well. Caller 7903. How you doing?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Welcome to the relationshiping show.
All right, all right, all right. I'm glad that sent me that invite. But I would like to comment on. I think you were saying that two people have children or a child and staying in a relationship, and the child is being exposed to whatever is going on in the relationship uh, may not be healthy. What's
mm-hmm.
not healthy is you have two grown people know that they have a child and children, and you don't know how to conduct yourself in front of your child and children for the benefit. of your children to be raised appropriately. Because even if you do co-parenting, you still got to conduct yourself. You still
Mhm.
got to bring your child over to the house, drop him up, drop him off, pick her up, and do all those things. When functions come up, you still have to conduct yourself. What you do is worse when you separate. It becomes more expensive for both parties. The man and the woman. He got to go spend money. You trying to take care of two households, and then it becomes even more stressful because economically, how many men can afford to take care of two households? You with a new person now you got to take care of the household and another household. And I said it to you, Sister LaDonna. At the end of the day, when two people come together and have a child or children, it's about the children. It ain't about you, how you feel, what's going on in your mind. You should have thought about all of that before you lay down and have a bunch of children. I give you one. Everybody, okay, hey. When you start making two and three children, you start to say, I didn't know. I thought things. No, you did know. You did. So now you got to tough that out for the benefit of children being raised appropriately. Because you're going to be stressed. Who said you wasn't? That's part of life. You have children. You live in two different places. You're trying to take care of two different families, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 personalities. And a real man is going to deal with it and have to suck that up. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to suck that up and do what you got to do because you have children.
Mm-hmm.
If they overrule you, they overrule me and her. It ain't about you. It's about those children.
Mhm.
One of the key things you mentioned was um, economics, and I think, and LaDonna, I know you mentioned selfishness, and I think when we talk about when we sit here and we try to unravel this being independent and being in a situationship, there's a lot of important things that we tend to leave out when we tend to make these decisions. A lot of these decisions are made negligently, and um and and this is I'm gonna say this is for the people that are already in situations right now. I know we a lot of us, we have made the decision. The decision that we made in the past is already made. It's like, what do we do now that we're in the situation that we're in? We're in this independence environment, meaning that we're independent, whether it's an independent black man or independent black woman. Now we have to sit back and look at the stress that comes with being independent, meaning that you're taking care of one whole household by yourself, one plus children by yourself, one plus jobs by yourself, sporting events, school homework by yourself,
Mhm.
right? And whatever else that comes with parenting by yourself independently. There's no study that's going to agree and say that this is by any means healthy. There's no health benefit in that. And what I'm saying is that when we talk about, and I believe the caller, mentioned stress. When we talk about stress, stress is the biggest silent killer
Mm.
of people. Stress. And because we've normalized independence and we celebrate it, we have normalized stress. And because we've normalized stress, we don't know that we're under stress, meaning that we don't know that we are setting ourselves up for those silent health care
Killers.
conditions. Yes, we don't know. When you take a woman and you see that her hair is falling out and things are happening that normally do not happen, you get fibroids, these growth and lumps and all these. Look up the causes of these things. Look up the cause. What causes it? And I'm gonna tell you right, and stress is gonna be at the top of the list.
Mm.
Stress and depression is gonna be at, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be in the top 5 that causes those things. Now, they might not, these conditions may not happen right away, but over time, your body is going through stress. You have uh um that epinephrine and neuroepinephrine dump constantly. And I think we talked about this in one of the conversations. When your body is constantly releasing these hormones into your bloodstream, what that does over time. Um, and to add, and I'm gonna try to be quick, because we're already in the relationship. Now we gotta, and this is not to accuse or penalize anyone, but because we're already in the situations that we're in, now we're still trying to battle with being human and trying to be a good human moving forward. We're in this broken home. And when I say broken home, that means it's not complete. It's just you. You're independent. You're doing everything. You are modeling
You are the
for
hero.
yourself. Yes. You're modeling for the woman and the man, or you're modeling for the man and the woman in the situation. You know, I don't know how women do it, because when it was me and I had my two daughters, I had to go find some women. Even though I knew how to braid hair and I wasn't doing it to the best. I had to learn it. So it looked a lot of times, it looked like I was learning, but so it's like I had to pull in some help, right?
Yeah.
So you can't say, there's no way on this earth can you say that you're doing this successfully by yourself. It just doesn't
Can
happen.
I add something to that, brother?
Go right ahead.
And what you're saying is 100% real. It's delusional.
Mhm.
You're taking what the Creator said. This is what this is the ingredients it takes to have a successful uh, raising children. Since we're talking about raising children, this is what it takes. And you said to the the maker, "Nah, I know better than you." Are you
Mhm.
serious? That's like me saying, I know better what it feels like being a woman because I read a book or I mimic something, and I can say to LaDonna Ray, I am better at being a woman than you. You see,
Mhm.
LaDonna Ray would look at me and say, you must be insane. The women, and specifically, we're talking about black women, have taken the premise, not all, but most, that somehow you think because you got your child through college, they may not smoke or drink, or and they kind of basic level out. You think that's the only sense of success when it comes to rearing and developing a human being or a complete human being from the perspective of knowing the dynamics of male and female and how to operate in a relationship. Your children or child has to know how to operate when you don't agree because husband and wife don't always agree. So
Mhm.
if you don't know how to operate in a marriage or a relationship where one party may disagree with the other and still know how to keep a loving and a committed relationship, there's some real serious issues. And this is why I
There
say
is.
this is why we should focus on rebuilding and strengthening the black family. And that is not our primary thing. You know, our primary thing is to focus on something. I think LaDonna and Ray said, maybe you said it too, brother. You're selfish. It's about you. As long as it's about art and the woman I'm with, as long as it's about that, when you have children, if you don't have children, this conversation don't matter. But when you're talking about you have children and a child, it ain't never about you. It's about those children because they did not choose to be here. You
Mhm.
brought them here, and
Mhm.
it is your responsibility to give them the best. And you will have to suffer through some stuff because that is part of bringing anything into fruition into life.
I hear you bring up a good point, and I hear you. But I have a question. If you have, because what I'm hearing Lorenzo say is that he had his children and the mother was unavailable or maybe a non participant in those areas. So he had to get some outside help. So I don't think that I don't think that that was even I don't think that was understood. I think it just I know when I went through my divorce and I had my children that when I had to do things on my own it wasn't because I wanted to, it was because I had to. And when I had to bring in some external help, because my ex-husband decided to move to California, just up and go. So I'm still in Chicago with the kids and we're divorced. So that's how is that selfish? Well, it's selfish of him, we know, but the
That's
custodial
correct.
parent, the custodial parent is not always being selfish because they are keeping the other parent out. The custodial parent is trying to make a way with what they have left
Mm.
in some cases.
Now, what you said, LaDonna, see, this is why I think it gets a little tricky because most people don't really know. Only you and your ex-husband know what led to what. Did not saying you did, so let's take that off the table. Did I create a circumstances where I push hypothetically the woman out? Did I create the circumstances and then when they left, then I go, oh, see, this is what I share with my daughter. If you want to be the superwoman, you're going to create all the conditions to be that superwoman. And because you want that medal, you want that Grammy to say yes.
Mhm.
Now if that is not what you did, then this doesn't apply to you. If your ex decided that hey, he was going to abandon the process of being a co-parent and go live somewhere else because you can't co-parent and go live in another state. That's
Right.
just another fantasy world. So if that's what he did, there's no explanation to explain. And then you did the righteous and right thing. For your son to have proper male intervention, you surrounded yourself or got involved where you have positive male role models, and whether they within your internal family or you created a family by involving yourself in activities to provide it, then you did your job. There's nothing you can do about that
Yeah.
because you can't make nobody do nothing.
That's right.
But if you created that, see, men and women, but since I'm speaking from a man perspective, women, not all, but most, want the superwoman Grammy. So
You
they
know,
Yeah.
create all
you
these
know,
circumstances.
and I'm gonna say this, to kind of back that up. I don't mean to get off topic. It's funny. It's interesting that you say that because I believe that to be true, and I say that to be true because of this fact. You mentioned that women want to be celebrated when the kid go off to college and they graduate and they get these degrees. They're celebrating. They're looking. They're like, I did that. Me,
Mhm. Yep.
I did that right there. But let's flip the coin. If that kid go out and he's dealing drugs,
Right.
he kills somebody,
Suddenly.
it's the father's fault.
Or the non-custodial parent's fault.
It's because his dad, the dad that I kept from coming around, was never around. That's his fault that he did that. They don't take responsibility for that. And that's the thing that I see that I find to be so unfair and hypocritical.
Yeah.
I have a
Caller,
quick question.
I was gonna say caller number 5274. We want to rope you back into this conversation. Go ahead with your question.
I just had a question. Like, when you said surrounded by positive male influences, what does that even mean? Like, because I mean, if you're willing to sacrifice families for like capital gains, right? Like, I mean, that's all what it is. Sacrifice happiness and all that stuff. Is everything's led by money? Are we just defining positive role models by those that have money? I see that being sort of the pursuit, right? And kind of perpetuating this type of emptiness or lack of connection because that's on the back burner for what's most important, which is fleeing from poverty.
Well,
Oh, that's a question for me, or
no, go ahead, caller.
Just general circle
Yeah,
table, yeah.
in general.
what? For me, a positive role model for a male is first of all commitment, responsibility, standing up and doing what's righteous and right. Has nothing really to do with anything with money. That's not what a true woman is looking for, and that's not what children is looking for. They're looking for a commitment, discipline. They're looking for someone who's going to be consistent and doing what is called righteous and right. This ain't got nothing to do with, see, I think our minds wander off into all of this uh, made up fantasy world My children specifically, we didn't celebrate Christmas and none of that because Christmas was every. If I had it, I'll buy it. It didn't matter what time of year it was. If it's something that you wanted and I thought was a good thing, it was okay. Hey, I went on ahead and bought that for you. So they didn't look. I didn't feed into my children had to have name brand, so they didn't look for those things. So even to this day, as grown adults, they don't see what much young people see. That's just not what it is. But children only are what you make them to be. You only put stock into what you believe it is. If you believe that hypothetically that Nike is the best, that's what you put in your head. Who said that Nike is the best from that perspective? I'm just using that. Your name, LaDonna, Raeh, or Art, is just as good as anybody. Michael Jordan's name was Michael Jordan when he was just a regular black guy playing on the court and you would never bought nothing from him. So these are images. So when you talk about being a good father, what we call role models, is doing the righteous and right things. And there are roles that men play. And we have to accept that being a gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
doing things that open the door. These are basic things. They got nothing to do with no money. Respectful women, these are basic things. So this has nothing to do with money. But every man must be able to stand on his own bottom, meaning that you should be able to take care of yourself. And if you get married and have children, your job is to take care of them. That's your job. That is your responsibility. The problem is we want to negate responsibility because we want to fit into a framework that's really unrealistic and unproductive. And we can look in our own community and see that it does not work. It has not worked and it will not work.
And and let me say this, to kind of give my
Well, wait,
vision
hold
on the.
that thought real quick. I want to make sure everybody knows that they can give us a call live and have jump in on this conversation. The phone number is 312-357-5141 if you want to talk to us live right here on Relationshiping. Go ahead, Lorenzo T. Hughes.
Um, Sometimes you have to, and this is speaking as a father. I became a father at 26. Nobody taught me how to do it. There wasn't a manual that was given to me, a book that said, nobody said this, hey, read this book. So when you decide to become a father, um, my kids and my mother, we learned, you know, on the job. And the one thing that has been lost, or maybe it hasn't, but is I have one son, and being a father or a man, the one thing that a father always wants for his son is for his son to be better than he is. And as he's growing, at some point you have to make the decision on what time do I need to start teaching my son on how to be a man, and how am I going to go about doing that? Even with your girls, how am I going to do it? You're thinking ahead. And the one thing I told my son, I said, and this is with anybody that's listening. Being a man is a choice that you have to make. Being a male is biological. You had no choice in that. But to be a man is a choice. Okay, now we got to, well, what is it? What is it to be a man? What's the definition? For me, being a man is being able to do any and everything at any given time. That's the definition. For me, being a man, being someone who can do any and everything at any given time that's necessary. So you got to ask your question, okay, what does that mean? Well, that means that if you need money, you need to get out there and make it, or figure out how to make it and get it done. It's like you don't have a choice. You going to figure it out. A
You
man
gonna
will do
learn
that.
today.
Yeah, you're going to figure it out. Um if it comes time that you have to protect the family, you ain't got time to think. You just got time to act, react. You're going to figure it out like that. And these are decisions that we have to make. If you get someone pregnant,
Mm.
you got Now, that definition still applies. Someone who can do any and everything at any given time. That means being a father. You have to do it. So it's like you have to make that choice. If are you going to just be a male in this world, or are you going to choose to be a man? See, being a man, there's responsibility that come with that.
Well,
Being a man is it's a title. It's a
well,
title, and what are titles? Titles are things that you earn.
let me ask you this. Being a male, you said, is not a choice. Being a man is a choice, a decision, a rite of passage. I'm taking it to another level. And but if we look at our topic, our accomplished black women still being penalized in dating,
Mm-hmm.
it's because sometimes women feel like that man that chose that male that chose to be a man doesn't exist. And so when we feel like that male, let me get it right, that hasn't chosen to be a man doesn't exist, then we feel like we got to do it all on our own. Now, I was speaking to someone, a family member, a couple yesterday, that said that their son was not that bright. Grown man son, not that bright. He said he said this. He said slow even. And I didn't, it wasn't funny because all I thought about was, well, have you ever that son of yours was raised under your roof. You were the father that was supposed to be the example. Did you ever push him to be a man? Did you ever make him fill out an application, go purchase a car, get his own apartment, go out and get a new get a job? What did you do to coddle him and limit him from becoming a man? Did you show him how to become a man? And this is why he cannot function as one. And he could not answer me. I can answer it. No, because I watched it. No. So it goes
That's a
back
quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
w- it goes back to what you said, Lorenzo, when you said if you are if you are raising a child and they're the greatest, you did that. But if they suck, that's the other parent. You said that's the daddy's child, but I'm saying the non-custodial parents
That's right.
problem. 5274, what were you saying?
I'm gonna ask, like, I hear it being like kind of framed in a way of like, oh, that's the father's thing, or this or that, right? Mom or dad, right? But I think that people know who they're actually in bed with, even if it's a mistake, right? Even one night stands, for example. So it's like that that's not the type of man or type of woman that that person is, and you're trying to like now force them to grow up. Like having a child does raise you, I'm sure. I wouldn't know. I just have little siblings, and that kind of like does it has an influence on me. But no, you hear it all the time. Like as soon as I saw my child's face, I immediately changed my ways. But that's that's a small percentage, right? Some people just choose they don't change. They're themselves, and they just make a junior version of themselves. So it's like I hear both sides, especially when it comes to our women being penalized for I hear also from women like while they're climbing that ladder, they're dealing with men that aren't really having yet developed is in the trauma department and healed through that. So they're forcing them to kind of like deal with that while they're also being respected in a at work, right? When they're being, there's accolades happening at the job, and then but at home you're still dealing with someone that's like, are you cheating on me, or they want to beat
Mm,
you, or they want to drink, and it's
yeah.
like, oh well, I don't have to deal with this. I'm rich enough where I don't have to deal with you. It's not like we
Mm,
got to get along because it's the 1970s and segregation and all the other things. It's more so just hey, like you either get with the program, you got to get out because I refuse to like tolerate it anymore. I'm now not only the taking care of the house, but I'm also now part of the breadwinning, if not the sole breadwinner. So and that kind of like agitates like a male role, like there's it's active attacks that is also being done on men.
So
as well, Black men.
you're saying that the
Um,
more successful a woman is, the more disposable the male becomes.
yeah, I
Can I
mean,
jump in there real quick?
Yeah.
Uh, that that is on a weak man. No man don't feel that way. It doesn't matter what his woman becomes, how successful she is, how much money she got. No man feels that way. I said it to LaDonna. No man walks around and see three women behind him and be looking back like, damn, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. I, I, if y'all know men like that, then they're not a man because I don't never think nothing about what no woman make and if she do this. I don't think nothing like that. I just don't. I can't even relate to that. But I would share this. Um, the men that these women are talking about, here's a wake up call. These are the men that you women, single women, raised. They're only
Mm.
mimicking you. That's what it is. Because you just said the man left. So if he ain't been there in 30 years, 40 years, and this is a crop of men that you say is unfit, that's because they mimic the female. So you got a real bona fide woman with a woman who raised so-called a man, and she thought that she could be in the laboratory and she was going to come up with some diabolical way where she thought she could make some work. And what you got is a crop of, uh, this is your crop. This is what you produce. So women, from that perspective, ultimately is all on the man because God, man, and woman. But if you're going to break it down in society and if women are going to accept this whole role, these not all, but most women, then you got to accept what you made. This is what you made. So he's not fit to be with no woman because you already, he's mimicking you. That's why he argues and he gets into all these different things because he's just a man woman. And you trying to make him something that you could have never made him. That's
Wait,
just the reality
wait a minute.
that people want to accept.
You're not saying that because he's not successful in his emotions that's that parent's child over there, are you? Cuz if he were greater or better at his emotions as a man, then you would claim him. But right now you're saying that because the women have mismanaged this child's emotions or upbringing that he is now hard for any woman to deal with. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. This is what you created. You created just another woman. You just walking around with a thing on, and you think that this is a man. No, no. You cannot give him what a man can give. A woman can never give a boy what a man can give a boy. And when Lorenzo was talking about there's no manual, from that perspective, I understand what he's saying. If you in your home when you grew up and you never saw your father participate in these activities and show you how it works in the family, then you would have missed that. But these things are passed down. That's why I speak on a community code of conduct and the family value system, universal, because there are times where some things do get missed, but you don't abandon the cookie cutter because, somebody decide not to use it. You don't get rid of the cookie cutter. You don't get rid of the recipe because LaDonna Raeh decided to make the cake and she didn't want to use flour, that don't make sense. It's still gonna be a pound cake. Whether she used it, she just messed up this pound cake because she didn't use the right ingredients because she figured she knew better than the person who came up with the actual recipe. So
Mm.
this is really,
Well,
this is really not hard. I think we make it hard because we think it's some type of intellectual thing that it's not that it's not hard.
so let me ask
It's
you
not
this
hard.
question.
Animals do it all the time.
Before I go in and say
yeah,
what I really want to address here, let me ask you this because you said something earlier. So if you take a woman who weaponizes her income, how do you think a man will respond to that?
Well,
Would
since you
that
talking to the man,
yeah, yeah. How do you think he would respond to that as a man if she weaponizes her income? If you because I think you said men, that doesn't matter to men how much a woman makes. If she weaponizes it, does it matter to him at that point?
you have to tell me what you mean by weaponized because
If 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 she talks about, and we've seen this in many disputes in relationships where someone might bring up how much money they make, or they're the breadwinner, or I paid for this, or I bought this, I'm the one doing XYZ. If she weaponizes her income in a disagreement or an argument per se, how do you think a man will take that emotionally, or should he take
here's
it?
my you right. What first of all, he wouldn't because I'm just sharing me. I ain't never entered a relationship or when I enter a marriage and the woman I want to deal with finances. When I enter it, I came with this is my responsibility.
Mm,
I'm going to pay the bills. What you do with your money, I don't care. I don't matter to me. I'm gonna pay the bills. That's what it is. Now, if she wants to, if I decide I'm gonna come into this relationship and I said I'm going to give you, I'm using hypothetically, 2,000 a month, and what you do with it is what you do with it. So for me, when I enter something, I'm doing it all because that's for me what a man does. He
okay.
pays the bills.
Now,
That's just what it is.
and now that I can see that being true in the industrial age. We're now in the technological age. See, I think sometimes when we have these discussions, especially when you have the age gap, because the other caller sounds like this is a younger person, and we have these conversations where somebody who came up in the 60s, 70s, and even the 80s are trying to compare what they did back then to what's going on right now. You see, back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, that's that was what happened back then.
But
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 remember,
Lorenzo, listen.
we live in a society that has targeted the family and purposely has put together tools to break up the family, and have created this role reversal where the woman is the breadwinner, meaning that she's making the bread slash the money. You see what I'm saying? So
Right,
that's
but
the
Lorenzo, this
age
is
that we live in now.
right. See, you notice I didn't say nothing about age
Mm-hmm.
or time.
Mm-hmm.
This is what brothers got to learn, especially if you have children. If you don't have children, this conversation really doesn't matter because two people can just get together and walk away, and you go your way and don't remember the person you with. So
Absolutely.
you just put righteous and right. Remember the word I said, righteous and right. You must do whatever is righteous and right to make
Mm-hmm.
sure you can take care of your family. So
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing: if I dreamed that I wanted to be a uh, uh, a basketball player, but I had children, that dream is dead. 9 or 10 times I have children. So you know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to go get a job. And if I didn't finish school to take care of my family, I'm gonna have to get 3 different jobs. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody do that. That's what I did. So if I have to work 5 jobs to take care of my family, then I got to work the 5 jobs. Now, if those 5 jobs I get is because my educational level is not there to get the computer job or whatever technical logic job, that's still on me. Now I got to get the janitorial job. That's the job I got to have. Do it well and learn. See, maybe I speak this way because I have my own business. And when you start your own business, 17, 18, you learn and you're determined and you make no excuses. Failure is unacceptable. You do what's necessary to do what's righteous and right, and you will grow into that. So my point of answering your straight question, There ain't no excuses. If I wanted to be a basketball player, and because now I can't be a basketball player and feed my family, guess what? I got to go do the next best thing. I got to go get a job and do what I need to do to take care of my family. I got to give that up because if I wanted to be that basketball player, I would have listened to my parents. I would have kept my pecker in my pants, went to school and did the right things, and I wouldn't have had that burden of responsibility. See, we want to create these burdens and responsibilities and get in the race and go, oh, I mean, the sun is the same sun today it was 1,000 years ago.
Mm.
These opportunities are still there. If you chose to have two children and you have no education, then that means you're going to be getting those jobs. You may have to work two or three of them. That's just what it is. And it's going to be difficult, and you got to go to school. You got to suck that up. That's the life you created. That ain't the life somebody else created. So my point is, you must do as a man what is necessary to take care of your family. And if your dream is to be that, then you put your dream on hold because you chose to bring a child into this world and you chose to be with a woman. A
Mm.
woman is a responsibility. I
Mm.
tell men that all the time. If you don't want a responsibility, don't mess with the woman.
Oh, well, we
Mm.
got another caller. 5274. I want to make sure we didn't miss anything with you before we move on to 9691.
I mean, there you have it.
No,
By
I
any
like
means
everybody's points,
necessary.
right? Like what you're saying, the last caller that called, that sounds like a very balanced individual, right? Perspective of, you know, definitely if you have a kid, make sure that you do everything in your power to ensure that your family's taken care of. But I kind of want to combine different nuances, right? Like that sacrifice combined with a partner that is making, let's say, like twice or three times as much as you are, that weaponizes their income on you, and you're sort of dealing with that. So like, there's a lot of like mental mental fortitude that needs to be had. To not just, a man isn't just a doer, right? Like a man is also like what's going on inside. How do you balance yourself out to to do the most and optimize your situation, not just to lash out because you're frustrated because you got this one, you look at it like this woman just dumped all these kids on me. I didn't want these kids, right? I do what I got to do, and I got to hear her talk about it, and I'm lashing out. So it's just there has to be some sort of balance or coming together. Our money isn't the ruler of it all, but understanding like what was done to ensure that their family's taken care of instead of like just kind of like one versus the other. And then we live in an era where so much is getting sort of seen on social media, right? Like you could be the janitor, but your friend's dating an NBA player, right? So and they're taking them out on trips, so you know, and they're obviously having those conversations. So a lot of the times, like especially, I mean, where I live out here in Texas, Houston, it's like money is what rules things, and being a millionaire is kind of like the baseline. So I was curious, like, do you think that it takes a certain, like, you should have a certain income to even start talking about dating? Like, I think online they're saying like six figures.
Mm.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Uh-oh.
Hey,
I think
what we
Yeah.
I
got?
think we're gonna.
What we got? I know
Did you want?
9691.
It.
Go ahead.
Well, this is a misnomer when it comes to age and children's. When you turn 18, 19, 20 years old, I think a person should wait till maybe 21, 22. Young person, they decide they want to be with someone, get married, and go through the process of developing relationship, bonding. That's part of growing. So I think it's a misnomer. People say, oh, wait till you're 25, 30 years old. If you want to wait because that's what you want to do, that's fine. But because you want to go to school, you don't want to have to deal with those responsibilities. I think that's great. But if you're a person who chooses to do and you want to deal with those responsibilities, then you choose to do so. And if this whole money thing, that's another force. Animals have puppies. They ain't got no money, and they raise their puppies every day. That has nothing to do with no money. Children do not look for money. This is what parents, we put the dollar amount on. I may not want a car. I think every man should have a car would make your job easier. Everybody don't want Cadillacs and Benzes and all that foolishness. to feel popular and feel whatever you want to feel. If you want that, there's nothing wrong with it. As long as you can afford to pay for it, do so. But if you're speaking specifically on children, children want to be loved, they want discipline, and they want love. And if you can provide discipline and love, and of course time is in there, children are going to be fine. That problem you talking about is you. That's that's your mind. Children don't think that way. You give a children $100,000 birthday party or $1 birthday party. They don't know the difference. They just having fun. That's you trying to impress somebody. So if you just do what's righteous and right, children want discipline, love, and time. And if you provide those things, that ain't got nothing to do with no money. From that perspective, of course, every man should have a roof over his head, food on the table, the basic necessities of life. That's all they're looking for. Anything outside of that, that's all personal things that you want to do. But I'll leave with that because I would love to hear the rest of the people.
All right.
Yeah.
We got caller number 9691. You are live on relationshiping. Good evening. What you got for us? Caller, your phone number
Uh,
ends in 9691.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes.
can.
Uh, yeah, good evening. I appreciate you sending me the text, Miss LaDonna. Um, um, now, as far as relationships go, I see that it's a conversation about relationships. And I agree with the last gentleman that just spoke. I agree with him an extent. Now, he's absolutely right. You know what I'm saying? The things about time, love, discipline, things that nature, those are the core things that you need to raise kids in this world of people nature. However, you know what I mean? We'll be foolish to think that, being that how it, just like the previous caller before him, you know what I mean? Maybe not as far as the extent of the dollar amount that he put on it, but you definitely need a certain level of finance to make this thing go around. You know what I'm saying? To make it all worthwhile and to make it happen for your family. And some of that stuff, like I said, you know what I mean? Because we all want more for our kids. That's at least how I was raised like that. You know, I came from nothing, you know what I mean? And worked hard, you know what I'm saying, to try to make a better life for my own kids. However, you know what I'm saying, the way that I'm setting them up is so that they can have a better start than I've ever had. You know what I mean? And hopefully they can follow the same blueprint that I've laid out for them, for their kids. So we all want better for our kids. Now, it may not necessarily mean that we laying everything on finances and dollar amounts, because, like I said, I agree with the last call. Those core things do matter. You know what I mean? And some of it is on the personnel that he was talking about with the people. You know what I mean? Because there's a you know, but that goes with manhood. You know what I'm saying? And growing as a man. There's a thing out there called the book out there called Stages of a Man. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? So it basically it distracts a man as he grows through stages. You know what I mean? So basically, it means if I'm the same person at 21 that I am at 41, then I've essentially lost 20 years of life. You know what
Damn.
I mean? Because I haven't changed at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're supposed to grow as a man. You know what I'm saying? And as you grow as a man, you tend to learn that finances aren't everything. You know what I'm saying? And core principles and values do tend to stand the test of time. You know what I mean? But like I say, I mean, I just want to tap into what the previous guy said as word like I said, but finances do play a part. Because like I said, you want to expose your kids to the things that you probably want to expose to. Like I said, I mean, I grew up and didn't really take any vacation. You know what I'm saying? But my kids can't say that because I'm taking my kids on vacation. I'm exposing them, you know what I'm saying, to other parts of the world and things like that. Let them know that, you know what I'm saying, that it's other things that exist outside of their community, you know.
Yeah, exposing them,
So,
Mm-hmm.
getting them off the block, as my grandmother used to say,
Uh-huh.
getting them off the block.
exactly, you know what I mean? And expose them to other cultures and things that they see, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's important as well to get them also experiences as well. But I don't want to take up all the time. Like I kind of came
Well,
in the middle, so
yeah.
I'm kind of catching up here.
No, yeah,
Well,
you
let
no,
me.
you came in towards the end. What's your name, caller?
Oh, my name is Chris.
Chris. Okay, I wanted to make sure I got the voice right. But go ahead.
Yes, we met at the. I got to say that. Okay, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm actually Mrs. I'll talk to you after this.
Okay. Go ahead,
but
Lorenzo.
I wanted to say this to kind of to answer the question. I think the question was, should you date if you're not making the finances? If I remember correctly, I took the note. You know what? I wouldn't necessarily say that you should not date, because being able to court someone, a woman, or being able to court a man or be courted, uh, it takes practice. And I say that because, when my kids were dating, and and my daughter came to me first because my first child was my daughter, and she was uh she was 16, and she had a friend. And I remember when she told me, I was like, I had to ask myself as a father, I'm like, how do I feel about this? You know, number one, I was happy that it was a guy, you know. So I was like, okay, we got past that part. And I said, okay. So I asked her, a few questions about this person, you know, and I said, I tell you what is it that y'all want to do? They wanted to go to a movie and out to eat. And I had to think about this. I said, okay, that means I'm probably going to be the Uber or the driver or whatever. I'm like, okay. I said, I tell you what. I said, this is what we'll do, because she's 16. I didn't want to see her going out on a date at 16 yet. But I believe in practicing on being able to uh be in the presence of the opposite sex the right way. So I said, I tell you what, we'll go on a double date. I said, I said, y'all go watch y'all movie, and my date we'll go watch our movie. We did that. Then we went out to eat. They sat on one side of the restaurant, we sat on the other side of the restaurant. And that's the way we did it, because it takes practice. So when I say, should you wait, finances, see, money can't buy you love. It's just like the song said, money can't buy you love. And it can't. Love is something that has to happen. It has to develop, right? And 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 it has nothing to do with money. So when you're out and you're trying to date, and you find someone that that brags about being independent, that should be like your first red flag, because you want to be with somebody that wants to be with you. They have to want to be with you. See, if a person loves you, see, the crazy, love is really a psychological disorder. And I don't want to say, I don't, when I say disorder, I don't mean
Yeah,
in a
yeah. What do you
negative
mean
way. I
by
don't
that?
mean
I
in a
want to hear
negative
this.
way, because love will make you stay. We've seen love cause people to do some crazy things.
Hmm.
The love has made people do the things that they never thought they would do, that they've said in many conversations, I would never do that. But when you love someone, there's almost nothing that they can do wrong. That is like almost not unforgiving. Yeah, it might irritate you, and it might cause you to say some choice words, but it will keep you coming home. It will keep you coming to bed. When people say, it always surprises me or bewildered me when people love each other, but then they don't come home. Oh, they get upset, so they don't come home. I'm like, how does that happen? I never understood how that can happen if you love someone, because that psychological disorder that you have will not allow you to leave that person or not want to be in the presence of your person, no matter what they do. So when you ask the question, should you not date if you're not making the finances? I would say no. But if you two decide that you want to be together, now it's time to develop that teamwork, because now you've decided, okay, we want to become a team, meaning that as a team, you're helping each other get to the finish line or get to the goal. You know what their goals are, they know what your goal is, and you're fighting and striving to help and assist each other reach each other's goals, because love will cause you to do that. So you might make, $50,000 one year. So the goal is 100. You get to the 100. Now the goal is to get to 150. So now you're making plans on how to get to the goal, and you're helping each other. You're not battling and competing against each other. That's not, that's almost like playing football and tackling your own teammate.
I got a question.
Good.
So when he asked about if you should you wait until you have finances to date, I want to go back to a recollection that I've talked to many single women about this, and that is if it depends on what your definition of dating is. So if people feel that if there's a mutual understanding that you're dating, meaning you're courting, because people don't use that word anymore. They think that dating means automated obligation to spend money. And that can be a misunderstanding. You can't get to know someone at a fancy restaurant. It is just impressive that you went there, but it is not impressive of the person that took you there. So, one thing that we have to understand is what is our definition of dating? Now, if you want to take someone out, then that does require finances. If you don't have the finances, then that requires more creativity. If you don't have the creativity, then you need to work on self.
Right. And I can't
Period.
tell you how many parks I've been to.
Wait, somebody's trying to jump in.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to add, everything in the world requires finances. Even you gonna get on the bus, even if you walk, you're gonna get some water, you get some pop. I mean,
Bologna
whatever.
sandwiches.
Right.
Bologna
Whatever it is.
sandwich.
Bologna sandwiches.
Okay, I'm done.
But,
Hey,
right, but
picnics.
let's just be real. Every person who went out and decided to go out with a man or woman, you knew who you picked up. If I picked up a woman and I see her and I can tell by what she drives, how she acts, how she conducts her, how she talks, I can look at her nails, her shoes, I can look at everything. Before I even ask her out, I have to determine in my mind, is this a woman that she's a representation of what she wears, and that's where she is. So if I want to see that further, I ain't got to spend a dime. I can just talk to her a little bit and say, no, I already see where she at, and I don't have to waste my time with that. Mm-hmm. Now, if I decide to take a woman out, then it's on the man to pay for the date. Period, point blank. That's just what it is. See, these are codes of conduct, family value system. Now, if you decide you're going to take her out, you can ask her what she like, and then you can say where I'm taking you. And if she's truly interested in you, guess what? She's going where you take her. If she ain't interested in you, guess what? She's going to be like, hey, I'm going to pass on this date. You already knew who she was because you already picked her in your mind. So I already knew what she was. I just really want to see if I was wrong or right. So I think we keep getting into this fantasy world that somehow somebody tricked us. We tried to get somebody and make them something that we thought or we think they have potential. We ain't talking about young people. Young people we're young, 18, 19. You are still developing mentally, morally, physically, socially. You got some foundation, and some of us ain't got none, but that's a growing process. But you can't tell me you 29 years old, you can't determine whether this is a bum. You can't tell. If you can't tell that he's a bum, that's something on your character. And if you can't tell that she's a bum, then that's on your character. You just have a poor judge of character. It ain't nobody's fault but your own. So I think we like to shift blame because we really don't want to own up to the decision we made. You tell me this college, intelligent, educated, so smart, all of those stuff. You can't tell a bum.
Right.
I mean, you can't tell a woman that she ain't fit for you. Sometimes we choose people we can dominate because we want to be the dominant people in a relationship. So we would choose someone lesser so we can dominate. And then when we find out, even though that she a Becky, she got more spunk than the girl who got to college. Now you say, damn, I can't wrestle with her because I mean, I don't have the energy to keep going with it. So I just think when we are grown people, we should have really young people on the air. I can understand that we're supposed to teach them, but at the end of the day, it's really hard for me as a 6, 7 year old man to see a 30-year-old man sitting here talking about me. Or one of them, I didn't know. Come on, we all know. Everybody brings a representative.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, you won't know a person to it until life hits them. And when you're courting, dating, going out, life will hit you. You get a flat tire. You gas is low. You'll see how he responds. When you go to the gas station, did he get out and pump your gas? See, all those are your signs.
Yeah.
If you don't pick those up, that's on you, and that's vice versa for the woman. You can say that I didn't have enough. Oh, damn, my credit card was declined. You can see how she responds. She say, oh, no problem, I'll take care of it. And then finally you say, no, I'm just joking. I'm good. I just wanted to see what you was going to say. I mean, you can do these little things to kind of see where people at. But I can't believe people this stupid. Maybe maybe something wrong with me. I'll leave it right there. I'll listen to more.
Yeah.
we got to close out the show because
Yeah.
we started at
It was good.
we have like 20 more minutes
Okay.
just because we started late.
Mm-hmm.
But where do we want to take this? Like, what do we want to walk away with? We've got young people, we've got older people, or should I say seasoned people on here, and we've got everyone else listening.
I would say this is start the conversation out early and be honest. You know, if a person asks them, are you an independent woman? Do you want to be independent?
And
You
what does
got to
that
know,
mean? What does
meaning
independent
that,
mean?
do you want to be independent of me? What is this? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's the goal? What's the end goal? What's the mission? So that you have an understanding. And sometimes we don't want to ask that question. And sometimes, now this is another part we have to be careful of. This is, some people are deceptive, but you got to try to figure that out in the beginning. Number two, don't become a victim of your own sexual desires. That in itself can be deceiving, and get you in trouble. But you want to find these things out early. And look, by no means, again, I'm not saying it's nothing wrong with being independent, but put that out front. I know we like to put our best foot forward. There's nothing wrong with, if you want your independence, nobody's trying to steal that from you. I know people get offended. People get offended, but lead with that. Lead with that part. Don't lead with love and I want to be this and I want to be that. I want a man to do that. I want a woman to do these. But lead with that. Let us know up front what your intentions are. Nobody, it's not going to make you any more, any less than a man or a woman. Your intentions are just different, and they may not line up with what my intentions are. Now, if you make the choice to go along with that and you get burned, then you made the choice. You can't be mad at nobody but yourself.
All right.
If I can interject, I'm sorry. If I can interject for a second.
Yeah.
Now I will say, somebody in my case, like I said, I have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard this term, like you said, you guys have been throwing terms around about being independent. See, like, I think in some instances, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what the circumstances are. But the way I teach my daughter is, I don't want her to be independent. I want her to be self-sufficient. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Until she becomes away from me, until she becomes part of someone else, like, being married and things of that nature, anything that she don't have to be independent, because dad is here to take care of all of that. But I want to teach her to be self-sufficient so that she can think for herself. She can have these critical thinking skills. She can be able to take care of herself and things that in case dad's not around, she can still, survive and be able to move and navigate through this thing called life. You know what I mean? And I know that you guys were talking about, the courting and things of that nature. And we all know, like, that we young. And young, and when you're young, everything seems all light and brand new. And we all know that love can be a drug. Love is a drug. I say, like you said, I heard one guy say that, love is so strong that people never know what they're gonna do because, like I said, love is an addiction too. It's a drug. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's just as strong as heroin, and crack, cocaine, all of that stuff. The same way. You know what I mean? But it's all about how in those addictions and in those in that factor how you utilize it. You know, what I'm saying how you let it affect you. You know what I mean? That's the key. You know what I mean? And navigating through it. You know. So but yeah, man, I just wanted to say that part. Like I said, I know love is a drug. Like so, and courting, like you said, courting is an old school term. I was raised old school, so I know that type of stuff rarely exists. But what I will say is that you know, I commend the gentleman about the double day thing. I never thought about that. Like, you gave me an idea for that one. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I have a young daughter. She hasn't got on the dating scene yet. And I've been kind of going about how I wanted to go about that one. Maybe I maybe I'll adopt that that
That idea.
idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know,
I agree with you, brother. When you said self-sufficient, every
Yes.
human being is supposed to be self-sufficient. You don't. Nobody gets a badge because you can supposed to take care of yourself. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I be lost. You're supposed to be. I have a daughter. You're supposed to be self-sufficient. But when you decide that you want to be in a relationship, then you bring your whole self, he brings his whole self, and then y'all become two people trying to work on, as the brother Lorenzo say, a common goal or a common collective. And when it comes to love, for me, all natural things that you shouldn't avoid. Sex is natural. God gave it to us. You're supposed to want love. That's what God gave you. If He wanted all to be individuals, then He would have made us that way. He made us attracted to the opposite sex because that's exactly what the Creator wanted. We are trying to do something opposite of that. So being independent or self-sufficient, and I love that way you put it.
Yeah.
Self-sufficient is a natural thing. You're supposed to be self-sufficient. So when you decide that you want to be in a relationship, then that's when you're supposed to combine your gifts and talents and the other person gets the talents to come up with a collective goal that you two feel y'all can achieve together and get there quicker. That's the whole art of the
Mm-hmm.
whole. That's the whole. I don't know why people don't like the thrill of becoming what we say one. That's the thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
that's the fun of it.
well,
Yeah.
But I'll
I
leave it
would
right
say
there.
because
Tell me
a
about
lot
it.
of people don't know that there's a difference between having a sexual relationship and having a loving relationship because there's two different things. Like I agree with the first gentleman that said that love should be built organically and it should be something that happens naturally and organically. But some people don't realize that a sexual relationship that's all it is. So it begins when we lay down and it ends when we get up. That's it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow. Well, everyone said something except 5274 in closing thoughts. What you got for us?
Is it still there?
Yeah, 5274.
I was just listening in. It's great things to consider and think about for sure.
Good.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right. Well, I tell you what, this has been an awesome. I feel like I was out here by myself though. All these men, women didn't call in.
Mm-hmm.
Last week it was
I
the woman
we don't.
domination.
Right.
This week it's
Right.
about women, and I got all the men calling in. But it's all good because hopefully next week, we've
Right.
got a couple of. Let me see. We got a rundown of some topics that we had on our radar. We've got are can long distance relationships survive in a hyper connected world? Is love
Mm.
at first sight real or just a social media fairy tale? How has therapy culture changed the way couples communicate or break up? And I'd like to have a specialist come on about that, like a therapist come on about that one. Are high standards helping or hurting your love life? Ooh. I remember somebody gave me a bracelet that said high maintenance, and I just laughed because I'm like, you really don't know me. Um, this one says, should your friends have a say in who you date? Oh, should they be in your ear? Should they have that brand new flavor in your ear? All right. So if you're by the sound of my voice, you can let us know which one you want to talk about next Friday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we will consider it.
Yes.
We'll have
And
two topics, but you'll have to listen to see which one we're gonna choose. That's the name of the game. Right here on relationshiping. I'm losing my
yeah,
voice. It's getting so late.
yeah. And
Mr.
and,
Mr. Hughes
and I'm gonna say this: the key word moving forward tonight,
is what?
self-sufficiency.
Versus.
Take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I self-sufficient?
Well,
So
I
and
think we are self-sufficient. I think are we teaching our kids? See, that's the break that, okay, I haven't really been
yeah.
saying
So
anything tonight, but my mother raised me to be independent. And it is a problem. It has been a problem. I had to wake
we have
up
to
one
change that.
morning and go, wait a minute, hold up. So I had, I think that it's a good idea for, like Chris said, he's raising his daughter to be self sufficient. If we can
Mhm.
change that, then everyone understands that they can be self sufficient. They can take care of themselves in the self sufficient way. But you can do so much more with a partner. And see, I had to learn that late, even after being divorced. I'm divorced. I was married 12 years. I learned on the job, okay? But I came into that marriage with the thought of independence. If it doesn't work, then this is what I do. But that's not the right mindset. So I have had to rewire myself, and then try to talk to my boys, my sons. I have four sons. But the last two, I'm talking to them about becoming husbands. Can I teach them how to be a husband? No. Can I teach them how to be a man? Not one bit. But what I can teach them is what I can teach them. And they're going to have to grab pieces of men in their lives that give them a path or a vision of the type of man they want to be in
And
order.
LaDonna, what you said is perfect.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
it will work because that's what. Even though I had a strong father,
yeah,
mother together,
yeah,
8 brothers and sisters, at the end of the day, I had a godfather. I
yeah.
took a piece from him. I took a piece from a bunch of
Right.
people. Because you got a father doesn't mean you're not going to see different qualities in other men, and then you put all those things together. That you still have that, and by you getting, excuse my language, getting out of the way and allowing that process to take place, your sons are going to be fine because you're an intelligent woman. You getting out of the way. The
That's
problem is
right.
the other
Yeah.
women don't want to get out of the way.
Oh yeah, no, I'm out of the way. I'm in there,
Yeah,
but I'm
no,
out
no,
of the
I'm just saying I'm
way.
giving you credit, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you getting out of the way.
And
The other women don't want to get out of the way. That's why I say my son ain't gonna do that.
right.
He can be 30 years old and he ain't spending his money on this. Uh, you insane?
Insane.
You insane? You didn't give me the invite. I
and
don't know how I missed it.
I'm gonna say this,
I won't miss it
that's
this time because I
Right.
that
want to be on the phone with the women.
and that's how Bruce Lee became the best fighter of his time. Was he took a little bit from every style, every fighting style.
Yeah,
And becoming a great man, you got to take a little bit of every man that you come in contact with, the best of that person, the best of that man. You want to take the best and utilize that and make it your own.
yeah. I
I mean,
love it.
yeah, I agree with that. All of that that the gentleman just said, all of those guys have said. But we can't, at the same time, we can't overlook. Cause I was primarily raised by a single mother. You know what I'm saying? But just like the gentleman said, I took from. I had a godfather. I had coaches. That I played ball. So I had coaches and things of that nature. So I had things I was taking from other men. But you can't overlook, like you said, I can't teach him how to be a man and I can't teach him how to do this, but I can't teach him what I can teach him. And that can't be overlooked because what she's providing is at the same time is still teaching them how to love a woman. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Teaching them how to be, you know what I'm saying, how women should be treated, you know what I'm saying? She can teach them that type of stuff. You can still learn from that. You know what I'm saying? And she's been a positive role model. I'm a firm believer that a child should look past the front door to see a positive role model. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Oh
she's
yeah.
providing that. You know what I mean? So that shouldn't be overlooked as well. So that if it encompasses all of that, should create the man, a model man, or you know what I'm saying, that you should be want to become.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Just my thoughts.
I'm
No,
gonna leave
no,
y'all
no,
with this. Gonna be
no, I was gonna say you are absolutely spot on. It's hard to articulate what I am teaching them because every chance I get, I look for those teachable moments. And those teachable moments are saying, okay, wait, when you have your family, you don't want your wife to have to do X. So let's do this. You see what I'm saying? So I'm being very deliberate in showing them how to be the best human being they can be, whether they choose to be a husband, an employee, a business owner, or a neighbor. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to fit it all in before it's time to say, go ahead and be that man. So that is what I am doing with my boys.
eh, eh, I'm gonna
Absolutely. And
say
if
this
you
last.
can expose them to, if they're not exposed to like coaches or anything like that, I mean, nowadays there's so many stuff that's out there, like clubs and different things where they can kind of get
Oh
that
yeah.
male,
Yeah, they're
that
in
male bonding and things of that nature.
Mm.
Yeah, they're in a
Absolutely.
mentorship
Yeah.
program. They play sports and I put them in a school specifically that was led by black men. Cuz I had my son in private school, but it was led by white administration and they don't understand us, nothing against, but it didn't work out for us. So I intentionally put him where the black male presence was very prominent and we're in touch. We're lock and step email all the time. So, yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna
And
leave this
and
on.
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna leave this on you all's head because God told me to tell you this. Never try to justify what you are, who you are. You don't have to justify that. Just be. Don't never try to justify your existence. Just be. Long as you are doing what is righteous and right, the Creator will make you shine brighter than any star. You will overcome any obstacle that becomes in front of you. So when the brother was saying there, my mom, and I don't want to think that your mom, you are her star. So you don't have to say anything because you are representing all of her excellent work as being a woman. There's no greater job than being a woman and taking care of the family. That's the best job. That's better than being a doctor or lawyer or Indian chief or president. There's no greater job than being a mother and raising children and taking care of your family. Somehow people think because we speak strongly on the male part is because we have a breakdown in the family. So you have to use shockers to get people to see things. But there is no justification. Sister LaDonna Raeh, just be. And your sons are your stars. You don't have to say nothing.
Yep.
I'll leave you with that, brothers. And I end with N19 and focus on the black family. Don Ray,
Yes, sir.
I'm
Yes,
upset
sir.
with you because I
Yes,
didn't get
sir.
in with them other people.
I sent it
So
to you.
I'll
What
leave
you
y'all with
talking
that.
about?
I didn't get that.
Oh, okay. Did you subscribe to YouTube? And basically I want to tell everybody, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get the notifications. And Art, I did send you a text message with the link in it. But if you go to YouTube, LaDonna Ray Show, you will see that you can hit the subscribe button. And Art, you may have just seen the number and dialed it. But there's a link that I
That's
sent
all
to
I
you
did.
in your text message too.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay. Yep. See, that's on you, not me. I sent you
See,
the
I need
link.
your help.
Okay.
See, I need that help. Right. All right.
All right, cool. Well,
All right. All
Chris,
right.
and thank you so much, Art.
Was-
Thank you, Chris, for dialing in, and thank you to our other caller that dialed in. Wow,
yes.
what a
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite.
of course, and come in again. We'll be here next Friday at 8 p.m. God willing.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
All right,
Yeah.
Lorenzo, what you
Hey,
got to? We got to close
hey,
out.
love and peace. I thought we were closing out earlier, but we got it
I
got
feel like a
conversation got
pastor.
got hot again. So
I
I appreciate the people that called in.
dang, I
I
feel like a
love it.
pastor
And,
when you
and,
say
and,
that.
I'm always I'm always learning in these conversations. It's like even at 53, I'm still learning. That's why I love having these conversations because I always learn something. I always have a takeaway. So I love having these conversations. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, that was a great way to close out. All right, people. Relationshiping each and every Friday at 8 p.m. with LaDonna Raeh and Lorenzo T. Hughes. Don't forget, you have to tap in, tune in, and subscribe so you can get those notifications. You heard the grievance group, right? They were like, man, I ain't get the invite. They got the invite, but I sent it to them. But you can get it automatically. As soon as we go live, it'll notify you and let you know that we are live and you can call in. You can always call into our show. That's right. That's the difference between us and other podcasts. You can call in live and be heard and hear yourself. And you can go back to that link and listen to it again and again. Please do so and hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified. And you don't have to watch if you can't, if you're sleepy, if you're tired, if you just don't want to tap in. But we love it when you do. And ladies, I'm going to need some help from you. Don't leave me out here by myself again. We can't do this. All right, that's it for relationshiping. We're at it. Oh, we had some comments. I'm sorry. Look, I feel like a preacher for real now. We got what's the topic? Okay, so we did go back over what this topic was. And Ranger said if people shouldn't date without if people shouldn't date without finances, then why does the poor class have most of the children and are the most satisfied with life? That's another topic. I'm gonna write that down. Poor people?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you could take
Well,
somebody on a I guess you could
that's a
take them out
topic. I
with a
mean,
that is,
you
yeah.
got to define what poor mean, what rich and poor mean. Some people can be rich in love, rich in spirit, rich. I mean, you
Oh, look, man obligated to paying for the first date, those days are over.
know.
Okay, that might be a good topic also. All right, we're gonna get out of here, y'all. Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Bye bye for catch us tomorrow. Lorenzo, you hosting tomorrow?
Oh, radio. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay, well, if you go to WVON.com or iHeartRadio and search for WVON
Yes.
1690,
Where business
you
matters.
that's right. We will be on the Wake Up Show Chicago at 9 a.m. Central on radio. We'll be on Facebook too. So you can go ahead and find us that way as well and on YouTube. So you just have to search for our names. I think my name is pretty unique. Lorenzo, there's a couple of you out there, isn't
What?
it?
I don't know
For
what you're
now.
talking about.
For now.
For now.
But only one you. And then, of course, I return back to WVON on Monday with a T. Buchanan at 3 p.m. Central. Hit that subscribe button and tell everybody. Tell everybody. Share the show. Please share the show. We love you. Bye bye for now. Let's go ahead and hit this outro and get going. Is that it right?